Hi guys, how are you doing today?
Good.
Good. How was your summer?
Awesome.
Good. Today we're going to be talking about cell division. So we're going to kind of take what we learned from last week and carry it on to this week. So did any of you guys get a sunburn this summer at all?
Yeah.
You had a sunburn? Do you still have that sunburn at all?
No.
You don't? Do you know what happened to that sunburn?
No.
No? Well, the
I was
reason...
red and now I'm brown.
Oh, so the reason that you don't have that sunburn anymore is because of cell division. So your cells are constantly dividing and they're growing and repairing like wounds, like sunburns. So that's kind of the cool thing about your body is like it's a very efficient machine where it's constantly dividing and fixing things without you even knowing it. So another kind of common thing about cell division. So you started off as a single zygote and then your cells replicated and divided and now you have over 37 trillion cells in your body. Like that's a lot of cells. Do you guys even know how big a trillion is? No, you don't. So you have 37 trillion cells in your body and over 200 types as well inside your body. And did you know that 50 to 7 billion of them die every day? That's a lot of cells to die. So even the hair on your head is dead. The cells though underneath your scalp are dividing. So that's kind of how that works, is your cells divide underneath your scalp, your hair follicles, they divide. And then once your cell hits the hair shaft, they're dead. So that's kind of how that kind of growth works. Also, some other common examples of cell division is in order for your muscles to grow, your bones to elongate, like all of those kind of things, your cells have to be dividing. So I'm going to start you guys off to kind of lighten the mood with my joke of the day before we get into things. So my joke of the day is let's make like an amoeba and split. I know, pretty funny. So how does that tie into what we were doing last week? So it actually has to do with the binary fission, right? So that's the process by which bacteria replicate. So what they do is that it's very simple and it's very quick. So that's kind of how that expression's used. So before we kind of get into the three main processes of cell division that we're going to go over today, I want to talk about the main functions of it. So the main functions of cell division, I'm starting up number 1, what I went over, cellular growth and repair. Number 2, for sexual reproductions, we need gametes. So it's for the formation of gametes. And number 3, what I just kind of said, unicellular organisms to replicate is another reason that cell division is very important. So if you guys want to look to the screen here, we went over binary fission. I'm going to quickly go over it again with you guys just to remind you of what we learned. So in binary fission, we have one cell, the parent cell, so the original cell. They're going to replicate their DNA, so they're going to double it. And then very simply, they're going to divide into half. And then now you have two cells. And these are called the daughter cells. So these daughter cells, they're going to have the identical DNA as the parent cell. Pretty simple. Singular cell organisms are very simple, so this process is pretty simple. Now we're going to kind of look into multicellular divisions, which is a little bit more complicated. But again, guys, we're just kind of doing the basic process here. When you go into high school, we're going to look more into the stage and stuff like that, but you guys don't have to worry about any of that right now. So let's talk about mitosis first, because it is something that's a little more common. It was when I was talking to you guys about your sunburn and stuff like that. When you have a wound and it's repaired, it's due to, like, the main function of mitosis is cellular growth and repair. So mitosis is very similar to that of binary fission. You start off with a parent cell that has a certain amount of DNA and a certain amount of chromosomes. So as a human, like we talked about last week, you have 46 chromosomes, right? So what's going to happen, just like binary fission, is that your DNA is going to replicate. So you're going to, let's say, double the amount of DNA that you have. And then the cells are going to divide as well. And then very similar again to binary fission, you're going to have the result is 2 daughter cells with the same amount of DNA as the parent cell. Any questions on that so far? Any questions on binary fission at all either from last week? Okay, so as well with mitosis, like I said, kind of the big difference between mitosis and binary fission, so they're both forms of asexual reproduction, which they have in common, but something kind of different. Again, one is multicellular, mitosis, and then one binary fission is unicellular organisms. So that's kind of the main difference there. So I want you guys to keep that in mind because we're going to be doing an activity later where we compare and contrast them too. So make sure as you're writing these notes down, you're kind of making notes of these because it's going to help you out later on. So we're going to move on to meiosis, probably a little bit more complicated process. Again, I'm going to simplify it for you guys. So in meiosis, again, very similar to binary fission, mitosis, we are going to have DNA replication of the parent cell before anything happens. The biggest difference I want you guys to remember is in meiosis, there's 2 rounds of cell division. Meanwhile, in, how much time do I have? 4. Okay. Yeah. Meanwhile, in meiosis, you go through 2 rounds. Mitosis and binary fission, you go through 1 round. So why do we need to go through 2 rounds of cell division? The reason we need to go through 2 rounds of cell division is because as a human, I'm going to use human chromosomes for example number for you guys. 46 chromosomes like we talked about last week. Well, as a gamete, so a specialized sex cell, which is either a sperm or an egg, you have 23 chromosomes, right? So that means that we somehow have to go from 46 to 23. So obviously that means that we're going to have to at some point cut them in half, right? So something else that's different in meiosis, that you're going to get 4 daughter cells, not 2. So you're going to get 4 and they're going to have half the amount of information as mitosis or binary fission has. So why do we want half the amount? What makes meiosis so different and why do we want to do that? Well, like we talked about last week, we want species variability, right? Like what keeps the world moving, what keeps adaptability is we need variation in genetics. So that's kind of the idea behind that is obviously when an egg cell and a sperm cell, they're coming from 2 different people. You have to combine the genetic information there to get a new individual. So now that we kind of surface touched everything on there, we're gonna kind of work on, and I'm gonna start you guys off here first before we get into anything. And then I'm gonna let you guys work on your own. So we're gonna do a Venn diagram. Do you guys remember what a Venn diagram looks like?
Yeah.
So I included a copy, if you guys look at the back of your notes there. And we're gonna go through a couple here and then I'm gonna let you guys work on them on your own and then we're gonna come back together and kind of discuss what we found. So again, I'm gonna go through 2 of them and I'm gonna let you guys work on it. What's something that all 3 have in common? Do you guys remember that at all? Something that all 3 have in common is they all replicate first. So DNA replication is happening first. What's something that mitosis and meiosis have in common? It occurs in multicellular organisms, remember? And then now, so I want to go over what's binary fission, what's something that's different that it has that nothing else has? It happens in singular cellular organisms, right? So that's kind of how that's going to work, guys. So obviously the overlap is where stuff has in common. I want you to discuss with your ELO partner what you think and where you think things should go. And then after, we're going to all come together as a class and compare it to the key that I have here. You know what? Maybe you guys came up with things I didn't see before. Maybe you think something should be there that we didn't. Let's clarify everything at the end of the class and go over these. These are for you as well. Like I want you to use these to study from, especially for the test coming up next week, okay? Sounds good. Get to work.